In the world we live in today, where we are constantly surrounded by complex, curated images, representation has become a dominant topic. It is noticeable, now more than ever, that what we watch deeply affects us and shapes our perspectives. Bell Hook and her oppositional gaze has become revolutionary in this, for it has not only given us a lens to see through the male gaze in cinema, but also a basis to critique the industry for its lack of authentic representation. It only makes sense that articles like these have pushed filmmakers to create more inclusive positions on screen. But what about off-screen? In UCLA's 2022 Hollywood Diversity Report, statistics document that 3 out of 10 directors are people of color, and 2.2 out of 10 directors are women. What is even crazier is that this 2.2 number is fivefold from the first time these stats were recorded in 2011. For writers, 3.2 out of 10 are people of color. Women share 33.5% of top writers' credit, but only 50% of the screenplays written by women were also directed by women. 14.8% of all cinematographers are women. 22.7% are not white, and 12% identify as being part of the LGBTQ+ community. The Washington Post reported that about 96% of the more than 450 members of the executive branch are white, and 87% are men. If these are the stats for the most influential above-the-line positions, imagine what they are for the below-the-line in all departments.
Well, I think there's 2 female ACs that I know in Grand Rapids, and then quite a bit more in Detroit. And I only know of one other woman of color besides myself who's an AC. So it's definitely like I can count them on my hands. There's not that many, but I mean, at least there's not none.
I've definitely been on, like a multi-camera unscripted production. And I only know one female director. And then I recently directed one. And how long has unscripted competition been around?
Yeah, it's definitely a global problem, not just the film industry, but it's very big in the film industry because, I mean, when the film industry started, they didn't think women were strong enough to be on crews. You have to work twice as hard because you are not automatically accepted. A lot of times it's a feeling of as a male or, someone who is predominantly in the industry already, you're immediately accepted and you're just assumed to have film knowledge, be good at film. But as a woman, you're basically entering in and people are expecting you to not be good, and you have to prove that you are. You have to prove that you're knowledgeable. You have to prove that you're talented. And you also have to do it in a way where people aren't thinking you're emotional.
If I think about it super hard, I think the only thing gender related that comes to mind is sometimes people that I don't work with often or that I've never worked with before, they can kind of assume that I can't handle the physical side.
One experience that I had in college, I was talking to a professor and it was about this summer course and they were going to be making a documentary, I think. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to take it. So I saw him and talked to him about it and was telling him that I wanted to get into camera work and learn more about that. And I remember that he told me that cameras are really heavy and the gear that camera people use are really heavy, as if that would stop me.
The commodification of women and minorities is a huge issue. We're not a product. We're not a selling point. We are never going to have real equality if we keep treating women and minorities as a tool. Are you hiring these women, telling these women stories because you care about it and you think that it's something that people should hear and people will resonate with? Or are you simply doing it to better yourself or as a money grab? Because that is very hard to be told.
I think numbers of people who identify as women in film are so low still because those statistics kind of come from the larger Hollywood kind of market, number one. And to get into those big roles in big markets, it's going to take a while to move up there. So with, the kind of older way or older industry being primarily male dominated, there's still a lot of those same males leading the industry. So I think the numbers are so low just because there hasn't been enough time for people to work up the ranks and fill or replace those positions.
Women and people of color are underrepresented and not given as many opportunities. So they don't have as much experience. So, sometimes it's really like taking a chance on somebody or believing in somebody to give them an opportunity, like knowing that they can do it.
I think that so often when you're a woman in a room full of men, I see a lack of space for feminine energy. I see a lot of women on set having to kind of operate in this masculine headspace, in this masculine workflow, this masculine communication style. And it really breaks my heart because I think that in any ideal situation, there's a balance of masculine and feminine energy. And I would love to see us as a film community make more space for feminine perspectives, but also a feminine style of working and a feminine style of communication.
By sharing our own experiences, it allows us to see the impact of what discussing a topic can do. It shows us that though there are issues in the industry and around the world that need more attention, there's hope. Because it is getting better, and people are doing their part to make a difference.
As filmmakers, we are teaching people things, and we are shaping people's views at times. So to truly do a film justice, I think it's important to have minorities in the room, because whatever story you're telling, they're also a part of.
I really try hard to not just have female representation, but people of color and, men, because it's like the more diverse group you have, the better.
The film community in West Michigan in general is just very accepting, very supporting, and you just have this feeling of like family and togetherness generally.
I know that in my career, in my path, I've had a lot of women mentor me, and I've had a lot of women to look up to. So just the fact that that's been a possibility, I think shows that there has been progress.
Just having we have this thing with Grant Valley, the mentorship program, and focusing on women in cinema and stuff like that. We just have to empower each other and discuss it. And there are, in the Women of Animation Club, there was a lot of men in there who wanted to help get more representation for women. So it's not just women who want to see a change, there are men too.
As I meet more women in film who are doing amazing and climbing the ranks, I can't help but feel inspired, because sometimes seeing really is believing. We always talk about communities not being accurately represented in movies and media and TV, and I fully believe that change starts off screen. So, no matter who you are or who you identify as, keep reaching for your goals and tell your stories, because somebody somewhere out there wants to hear it, and maybe even needs to.